we're gonna talk a little bit about guarding. So who can tell me the definition of guarding? One paper. Mayor, stand in the back.
Dylan, 2 feet.
Dylan, what's your last name?
Last name's Lee.
Dylan Lee.
2 feet on the court facing the defender.
Lee, come on, be confident.
Use your referee voice, referee voice.
Oh, that's what I'm here to work on.
Okay, I'm gonna hear
So you said 2 feet on the court, torso facing.
The ball handler.
Keith, do we guard other people besides the ball handler?
Yes. The opponent.
The opponent.
All that.
Awesome. You hit all the major points. Inbound.
It took you a while to get there, but you got
Out of
there.
bounds, you're not legally, you cannot be legally established out of bounds. But 2 feet on the court, torso facing ground. So there's 2 parts of legal guarding. There's obtaining and maintaining. Okay? So first we have to obtain, which is we gotta get in position where we're 2 feet on the court, torso facing, okay? And this can be established anywhere on the court. Previously, there was things like restricted areas and all that. It's not really applicable in high school, but now those rules have kind of changed. They're still there, but different, okay? Maintaining, the second part is, first you have to obtain to be able to maintain, okay? Does that make sense? So I first have to establish the legal guarding position in order to maintain it, okay? Then you may move where? Doug?
Obliquely, backwards,
Laterally, obliquely, backwards, any way but
forward.
okay? Do I have to face the opponent?
No.
Who said yes?
Ooh, who says yes, I must maintain by facing the opponent? In FIBA, yes. Yes. You do not have to maintain by facing the opponent, okay? Once you've established the torso facing goes away, and then you can maintain by not facing, okay? Move laterally or obliquely. You may raise your hands and maintain a vertical plane. Have you guys heard verticality? So if I stay within my vertical plane, I'm legal. And you may turn or duck to absorb contact. So sometimes you'll get people, if they have a big freight train coming at them, I didn't take charge, so I really don't know about this. But they may want to protect themselves. That does not all of a sudden make them illegal, okay? All right, so there's also slight differences between a stationary opponent or opponent with the ball, or a moving opponent or opponent without the ball. Who can tell me if time and distance is required for a stationary opponent or opponent with the ball? Oh, what's your name?
Me? Kayla.
Kayla.
Yeah.
Candy.
Candy. Yeah.
Candy, you go by Candy?
Yeah.
Okay, Candy.
So with the ball, the closely guarded, that does not apply if he has, the ball.
Okay, closely guarded?
Yeah, like the time
and distance.
Time
Okay.
and distance, yeah, that one step, it doesn't apply if he has it.
Okay.
If he doesn't have the ball, then he must give 1 step. And then that's it. Okay. Pretty good.
So on an opponent with the ball, time and distance is not required, okay? How about a stationary, oh, did you have something to add?
I was gonna say, if he's stationary without the ball, it doesn't apply either.
Perfect. How about, does legal guarding position have to be obtained prior to the opponent becoming airborne for stationary or opponent with the ball? Yes? Yeah.
I'm sorry, what's your name? Weather, is that your last name? What's your first name? Catherine. Catherine. If you were nodding your head, I would like you to say the words instead of just nodding your head. Next time.
So, if the opponent has the ball or they are stationary, legal guarding position must be obtained before that player is airborne, okay? You guys are all correct on that. So no time and distance required, but you must establish legal guarding position before they're airborne. Now how about with a moving opponent or opponent without the ball? Do we have to have time and distance?
Yes.
And how much time and distance?
1 or 2 steps.
Anybody can tell me what the book says? Not
Based
does?
on.
Somebody be brave. You get a ticket. All right, Doug, you wanna help?
Strikes.
No more than 2 strikes. Usually no more than 2 strikes. And then again, legal guardian position still has to be obtained prior to the opponent being airborne. So a few keys to, let me go back. Legal guardian position is the basis of a lot of our decisions in our game. And so this is a really important thing to have a handle on, because it helps you determine legality, block charge plays. You will have no idea what to do with a play unless you understand this particular rule. Okay, so to help, here are some keys that can help you in determining legal guardian position. Number 1, we gotta referee the defense. If I'm watching the ball or watching the offense, I'm never gonna know if someone's legally established or not, because I'm looking at the ball. Number 2, we have to position adjust to maintain those through looks. So I always wanna be able to see between the 2 opponents. If I get stacked, which means I'm looking at butts and back, as we talked about earlier, then I'm never gonna know if they're legally obtained or particularly maintaining that legal position. We wanna identify help defenders early. So we talked a little bit about that transition of, okay, the ball is in one person's area, now I'm lead. Ball's in Phil's area, I'm responsible for help defenders. So if I'm lead and I'm in that position, I am watching, I'm identifying who's gonna be the next defender that I'm gonna have to deal with. And I'm watching, and I'm trying to determine if they obtain legal guardian position and if they maintain it as this play is going on. Okay, so we have to get off ball and identify those help defenders. What did the defender do wrong? This is constantly running through my mind, it's my self-talk during the game. I will say to myself, legal, not legal, what did they do wrong? So that I'm constantly kind of having those thoughts in the back of my head, and it helps me be able to make my decision, increase my call accuracy, and when I have a decision, I can communicate that to the coach, who may or may not agree with it, right? Usually they don't agree with it, but that's okay. A to B movement, so this is talking about verticality. You can use the lines on the court, the court markings, to determine if they have launched from A to B, as opposed to A to A, staying with that frame. A lot of times we'll get that help defender that's coming over, and they have gone from one side of the lane to the other. I'm already thinking in my head, there's no way that that's vertical, because they went 6 feet across. Okay, and then call the first out. So many times, I've been burned by this a lot. You think something is just, maybe marginal for incidental contact, might have affected that ball handler a little bit, you pass on it, and the next thing you know, they're trucking over the defender, and now you have an offensive foul when you should have had a block out top, right? Call the first foul. Alright, you guys ready to look at some plays? So, caveat, okay, this clip's stolen from the internet, someone else did a really great job putting it together, and I was smart enough to use it. But it is college plays, but legal guardian position is the same in college as it is in high school. And they talk a little bit about positioning, and it's applicable to high school, so. I don't know if I have sound, do I have sound? I can't take credit for the sound.
Number 41, White, establishes legal guardian position.
Sound, you got
We
video.
got no video, but we got sound.
She gets to play in her primary.
It must have been one with Jonathan in it, that's why it's not showing.
He's supposed to be helping me, but, I felt like.
Should have been here, bro. Should have been here. Jeff Sheldon, should have been over there. I know.
Oh, that's bad. All bad.
Does that say Kenny? Oh, that's a Kenny Jackson. I thought she got Kenneth Jackson on her shirt.
Curtis Jackson.
I mean, if I had a shirt, I would have.
Number 41, White, establishes legal guarding position by having both feet on the floor facing his opponent and moves obliquely to maintain his legal guarding position. Number 0, Black, initiates contact with number 41, White. The trail official correctly rules this contact incidental. From a mechanic's point of view, the trail official needed to close down to the 28-foot hash on this drive to the basket.
Gotta maintain our looks.
Conversely, on this play, we penalize number 15, White, as he establishes legal guarding position by having both feet on the floor facing his opponent and moves obliquely to maintain his legal guarding position. Number 1, Red, initiates contact with number 15, White. The trail official incorrectly rules this a defensive foul. This play depicts an officiating crew setting the tone for the rest of the game. Notice the time and score. Number 25, White, drives toward the lane. Number 4, Black, establishes legal guarding position by having 2 feet on the floor facing his opponent. Number 4, Black, then moves laterally to maintain his legal guarding position. Number 25, White, initiates contact, and the trail official correctly calls an offensive foul. The trail official is extremely deep on this play and steps into the floor to get a better angle. Moving toward the 28-foot hash and closing down would provide an unobstructed view of this contact. Offense-initiated contact also happens on drives to the basket. Number 15, Gray, drives in transition to the basket. Number 0, Gold, establishes legal guarding position by having 2 feet on the floor facing his opponent and then retreats to the basket. Number 15, Gray, initiates all of the contact on this play. The officiating crew correctly rules this to be incidental contact. From a mechanic's point of view, the trail official doesn't recognize that the lead had previously rotated and stopped short, and we end up with no lead on this play.
Even the big dogs miss rotation. You miss a rotation today, it's gonna be okay. Stop, see where your partners are, adjust accordingly. If you're the trail on the backcourt and you see there's not correct positioning going on, just make the adjustment. Nobody knows but us.
Hey, please do not be traffic cops out there, don't do this. Know what your partner's names are and use their names. Bob, your C, George, your lead. Okay, because we're out here doing this and everybody knows we screwed up. Okay, so use names. Bill?
I have a
Positioned on the
quick question. So on those 2 plays that the narrator said were incidental contact, how many of you honestly felt a little, like that should have been a foul? Shayla, come on. All the rest of you thought?
Was it this one or the previous one?
This last one is good.
Okay.
The last one, on the drive.
Yeah,
So Shayla, why did you think it was a foul?
I needed a second look to see.
Have you done a second look in the game?
No.
Exactly. So Catherine, what did you,
My first thought
what
was
were you thinking?
same thing, I was looking at it. I didn't see them establish and get turned around fast enough.
Okay, so make sure, we have to look at the defense, forget about the offensive player. Okay, worst thing they're gonna do is travel, and if it's that bad, the trail will come.
Especially on quick drives to the basket, because you don't have, the ball handler, you know what he's gonna do, so your focus has got to go to the defender and see if they do. Because that's a tough play, it really is, and I can see why you go, ooh, but, you know, I think we penalize the defense way too often, personal opinion, but.
Yeah, so those are the plays, like Britt said, she asks herself, what did the defense do wrong? When you're looking at that, like, I don't think I saw, you have to ask yourself, what did the defense do wrong? If you can't answer that, you're not gonna be able to answer the coach, and you're gonna be in a doghouse.
So you establish a legal guarding position and talking about the defender, and then that starting to drive towards the hoop, okay, if the right knee moves out
The defender?
of the defender, if that right knee moves in the direction of the drive or.
What do you think?
The
You
shooter.
think it's a foul?
Call it a foul.
Absolutely.
You're my
If they
favorite.
move laterally or obliquely, not into the path of the opponent, that could be legal, right? So you're saying they move, the right knee goes and it goes forward or into the path?
Well, first of all, they establish their legal guarding position, I
Okay.
got that, right? But the offensive person is gonna make that adjustment, sees that as a way of getting to the hoop. As soon as the defender moves that knee out in that same direction, seems to be, that's gonna be a foul.
So, yeah, that's
Like
the point.
legs
They
outside your
move
body.
into
Pick up what
the
you're laying
path.
down, Leslie.
So what happened to the lead on that play?
There was no change.
There wasn't one. So what?
There wasn't one.
But this one.
So you got caught. You only went to the.
So, and just to add on to what Stacy said, and what I talked a little bit about earlier, this is the exact type of play that as I'm transitioning down, I'm saying legal, illegal, legal, not legal. So from that defender, I know exactly the moment that they got legal where I know that they never did get legal. That way I can help myself increase my call accuracy. And, right, player with the ball, time and distance is not a factor. So that establishment, the obtaining of legal guard position can happen just like that. Okay, we'll go back to this, we said, where there was a question on how they got
Having
out
the
of
lead
position.
official position on A,
He just came over, so the lead just came over table side,
He just stepped across the free throw lane line extension.
and a quick.
And like, oh crap.
Yeah. And this will happen in these games, this happens a lot. You go to rotate, the ball settles on that side, I'm lead, I'm like, oh yeah, time for me to rotate. And then just as you get over there, there's a steal, and you're like, it happens. We just have to adjust, we still have to referee basketball. And then just fix it as we're able to, but the most important thing is the referee to play and then we'll fix. It's just basketball.
would have provided a great view
So I'm
between
going,
the
oh,
players.
legal. So now I know, if there's this
Number
placement,
5
either
grade
way, I know
drives to
what
the
I'm gonna do with
basket
it.
and initiates contact with a secondary defender, number 2 white.
This is a verticality
Number
play.
2 white establishes legal guarding position by having 2 feet on the floor facing his opponent, jumping vertically and legally walls up the defender.
Boom. Right?
Where's number 2?
Number
the
two
one
is
guy.
the one jumping in the air.
Oh,
Okay.
thank
So he was first guarding, then he left, now he has reestablished legal guarding position, and now he is jumping, he's within his vertical plane. I know that because he leaves, he's on the RA, that little arc, and then his feet come back down on the RA, cause I love A to B plays.
Okay, hold on, that's because I hear some mumbling, and so I want to further give the whole class that. When you guys mumble, ask a question, because I'm sure someone else is. Is this vertical? Is this vertical? This vertical? Where is the delineation of what's not vertical? So you guys tell me to stop when it's not vertical, okay?
Stop.
Keep going.
So you guys are telling me when I'm playing defense, that I'm here, that I have to be right here to be vertical?
I thought we stopped you at that other spot.
Okay,
You
how many of y'all
stopped
just
me.
put your arms straight up? Without trying to stretch back, just put your arms straight up. Look at where your arms are, most of you.
So where does most of your arms go?
You're gonna start here.
You're just gonna start here.
You're gonna start here.
No, this is not realistic.
This is not real.
This is yoga. We're not, none of y'all are doing yoga out there. And you are.
You know what's not legal? It's not legal once you're here, which is fine to do that.
That's
Okay,
right.
so that's the biggest differentiator, right? Because trust me, done it, been there, done it, but you're like, this isn't straight up, like, this is where naturally we are straight up, okay? Same thing, offense initiates contact, I go into gut, as my hands go in, and everyone's like, boop, nope, arms came down, it's like, I just got it in the gut, how am I supposed to keep my arms up, right? So just think about this, and as they all have talked about, letting the play start, develop, finish, hey, yeah, maybe the hands are here instead of here. It might be pretty good basketball. We're gonna make the decision. I'm gonna let that one ride out.
I gotta see shoulder flexion. I gotta see movement here. Right? If you get hit and you do this, I know you took contact that was initiated by the offense. Now, if you get hit and then I see your arm follow through, now you fouled.
On the reverse of that, just thinking, like, if you're judging what's vertical, if you're here and you see the arms go back like this with contact, then wouldn't that suggest they were too far forward? Cause
No.
now they've created.
They just taking the contact. Some of them do this. What I'm saying is if I don't see them deliberately, their arm, shoulder movement, they're trying to play defense straight up. I'm not gonna penalize them because there's some contact.
Because if they go in your arms near here, yeah, your arms are gonna go back. That doesn't mean I went down on them, right? That's natural reaction of absorbing contact, my arms are gonna go back, right? So I think Britt said it, her self-talk is, are they legal, right? So when they're coming down the court, I'm like, oh, two feet on the ground, torso facing, they're legal. So now I know where they're allowed to maintain, right? So same thing with verticality. Hey, they started out vertical, 2 feet facing. Just because I see their arms go back like this doesn't mean a foul. Does that make sense?
Doesn't this one look a little bit different because of the height difference?
That's a good point too, right? Big versus little?
Yeah.
I mean, again, his natural shoulder, he's a big dude, right?
But that's typically where the verticality thing comes into play. The most time when you're calling it is a bigger opponent versus a smaller opponent. Now they're stopping the offensive players' opportunity to go vertical because their arms coming forward inhibit this person's verticality
But
space.
again, we have to be mindful of our language. Forward to me is this.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's not my vertical plane now. So
Yeah.
based on how you spoke about that, absolutely, it's a foul because I'm going forward, right?
Sure.
But if I'm vertical, and again, whatever angle, I think this is vertical, right?
Yeah. I think this was all in response to this first look at this video and looking at Homeboy's arms right now.
Yeah,
Like, that's set up just like he would be blocking this guy from taking off if he lands at his feet. But the play's gonna continue and then the arms are going to come up. I'm not saying that's not happening, but just at first view, I come up and see this guy's arm out here. Like, if I was in a game and this was a guard coming in against a big, I see this as this guy's blocking his ability. Now, as the play progresses, his arms do go up and he gives him the space.
I agree with you, but in this play, I disagree. He is vertical to me. Like, that's all I'm saying.
Sure.
But
I wanna know why that little guy is going into the line of the Giants anyway.
That's all I'm saying.
He's got a Euro score out there.
And I'll add to that, where is the motion coming, right? The offense player is coming in, so even if he is like this, and he's like this before that person gets there,
Sure.
that's not his fault that he's supposed to come in here and play ball. That's why we shoot three.
The officials correctly no-call this play. Officials are instructed to not reward offense-initiated contact on the legal defender. Number 20 blue establishes legal guarding position by having both feet on the floor facing his opponent. Number 42 white begins to back down toward the basket and initiates contact.
Player control.
Off of his spot.
You're already calling it, huh?
Yeah.
It's offense foul, right? You can't back it down.
The player control foul.
Defender legally
needed to be
establishes
called.
their position. They can't be moved off their position by the opponent, okay? So once he moves it, he's a state.
And like, and she said in her very first slide, call the first foul, because what do you think that 42 blue's gonna do after he gets pushed 3 times and now he gets an and one? If, you know, he retaliates in some sort of way, call the first foul.
And if you're not sure that he's actually getting pushed, like you're talking about, look at the lines on the floor, he started like 4 feet outside the lane, and the defender ended up in here, that's a long way, that's not a toenail.
And the other piece to that is real quick, is he wasn't giving ground. He was trying to hold his position because both his feet moved at the same time. If he was trying to give position, he'd be backpedaling on it. And so now it may not be that foul, but he's taking the contact and being moved off his spot.
You will miss that call 100% of the time if you referee an offensive
Yep.
player. Gotta referee the defense the whole game with the awareness of what the offense might do or could do.
Arlicia, you had a question?
Yes, so I see a lot of the bigs, we don't call that. So are we?
We're missing it.
Yeah, are
Yeah.
we gonna say yes
I
or
mean,
no?
yeah.
And then I saw a little bit with the girls last year's big game, the bigs was like they.
In all honesty, we're mandated to follow the rules as written, and we don't always do it. So,
Sometimes, like Sean was saying, sometimes the defender's kind of playing, but they're going with that, and that's not a foul. But if they're like trying to stay there, and you can see their body is just like reeling backwards, then it's a foul, and if we don't call it, then we're just not calling it right.
we get into these back and forth where we're like, okay, well, the offense pushed a little bit, the defense pushed a little bit, so I'm letting it go, and then you end up with.
But with that play, when you watch just the offense and not the defense, it doesn't look like he's, giving an elbow or, it's not a real big displacement, but it is displacement.
So where do you make the distinction between, if you take away, if someone's physically stronger and they can walk them down without extending their arms or putting the elbow in, the shoulder in the chest and creating distance, but just physically stronger with their lower body and they're walking them down, why would that be a foul?
If they're trying to maintain that, the defender's trying to maintain that position.
But we're
then it's
penalizing the
gonna be foul.
physically stronger player.
They're entitled to their space on the court. Just
Yeah.
because you're stronger than me, and I'm here, doesn't mean you get to move me off my spot.
So Shaquille O'Neal's.
So here's the deal. Yeah, that's a different monster. So here's the deal on that, okay? Call the rule the way it's written, correct? And you'll always be supported by your supervisor. So if you see a big against a little, what's gonna happen? He's gonna wanna take advantage of the little guy, right? But if that little guy or gal is holding her spot and all of a sudden he takes, that's an offensive foul all day, every day. Yeah. So it doesn't matter size, it's a matter on what the rule says, how to referee that play.
It's a great question. I mean, we kind of make our decisions based on that, right? Right, wrong, or indifferent. We're like, oh, you're big, and they're little, so obviously this is why he ended up on the floor. It's not a foul.
Okay, here's one, I'm sorry, Greg. Here's one more thing too. The defender's gonna probably move up, right? He's gonna try to get physical because he's less strength, is not as strong as that. So what's gonna happen, usually? He's gonna bump him, try to get in a hurry. Oh, he's gonna swipe down, right?
Right.
So we gotta do what? Call the first foul.
Yes.
Now, if he's just holding his position, and you see the big, not displacing him off of his legal guarding position, you gotta ship it. Here's the last part of that, takes it back, guaranteed he won't do it again. Now you just cleaned up your post play.
Or if the smaller guy's smart, he just pull the chair, let him fall on his ass.
Your antenna goes up, so when you see that mismatch, anytime you see a mismatch, your antennas need to be raised.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody's gonna have to do something. This little guy, little gal is gonna try to do something. Or the big gal, or big guy's gonna try to do something. You need to identify who did what first.
Do you actually see, or in your experience, the flopping going on?
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about that later. There's gonna be a presentation on that. But yeah, I'm terrible at flop. Thanks for asking.
So, regardless of like level of play there, it's just a question for you as a question.
Dylan?
Yeah, Dylan.
All right.
Regardless of level of play being a factor or whatever, questions for you as a clinician, at what point are you blowing that whistle? That first bump?
The first time I see that, if I see that defender get moved like that, I should have a foul that first one.
Very first one?
Right?
Yes.
Call the first foul, because if not, you let it go, then you end up with things you don't want to have to deal with. And I've done that too, didn't work out well. Any other questions on any of it? That was the last clip, Michelle.
We say we use legal guarding position after we have shoulders pass, we started to figures do it for like legal, now they're not legal, and now they have to do it.
So head and shoulders pass is when that opponent's beaten, and then they would need to maintain and then maintain. So if I see the ball handler get head and shoulders pass and the hips turn of a defender, those are keys for me that, okay, they're beaten, now they need to reestablish.
So on the previous play with number 2, so he didn't the defender didn't turn away.
This was the second play?
The offensive left.
What was the second play?
Yeah, no, it was just before this one.
Oh, okay, was that the transition play?
It was the one where he jumped, and we were talking about.
Oh, the vertical, okay.
So over here.
Establish his legal guarding position by having 2 feet on the floor facing his opponent, jumping vertically and legally walk up to the defender.
But he wasn't guarding that, was like, it was more than 60.
So on on this, that's a good point. So on this place, he's legally guarding them, and then he kinda goes somewhere else, and then,
Yes.
but there's no time and distance required. So this is one of those where the legal guarding position is established in like that split second. So as soon as he's 2 feet torso facing, because that player has the ball, he's legal. Again, he's reestablished.
And where that time and distance thing comes, go ahead.
The wall's up to defend.
So right there, he's legal. He has reestablished legal guarding position.
And legally, wall's up.
Prior to being airborne, right, because that's also a component, no time and distance because it's an opponent with the ball. He can get 2 feet torso facing on the ground in downs. Do you agree that he's there now? Okay, so you think he's legally established or no? No, he is, okay. And is it prior to the opponent being airborne?
Yes, but my question is, when did he lose it before?
Oh,
So,
when
before he was legal, like, where is your
Yes.
cutoff for?
So that's the 6 feet,
Okay.
yeah.
Because it almost looks like when he came off the screen, he had legal guard position, and like a little bit of.
Yeah, they kind of have they switch defenders, yeah.
The wall's up to defend the 2 feet on the floor.
So he was legal, he was guarding them, white 2 was guarding
Number
them.
2 white establishes legal guard.
So he's establishing here.
Who's refereeing this guy? Okay,
So this, number 11 is beaten, right? We got head and shoulders pass, number 11 is beaten. Help defender, who's refereeing the help?
Linda's the city.
Whose primary coverage area is this defender here?
Right now, Troy.
So, but the C has here, right? Did we just say that? Is that what you asked?
I asked who let this guy.
Okay, yeah. So who is this? Who is number 11? C. So C has number 11 and the other one? We're switching defenders?
11's
Trick
beat.
question.
11 feet.
11's beat, so what? So then
So
the C
center.
gets the switch?
Center
Is 11 completely out of the play? Can 11 still foul?
Yes.
Yes.
So 11 is beaten, but not out of the play, so center needs to stay on that, right? Okay, so then who has? Okay,
He's secondary. So who has
that's
that?
one that's left. Okay, great. Okay, so now
By having two-
that help defender establishes, and then he kinda starting to retreat.
2 feet on the floor.
Because number 11 comes back into the play, recovers, right? So now he's not guarding that, I would say that he's not guarding that ball handler, so he's not.
Or facing his opponent.
Now he's trying to
Jumping
get back to where he's
vertically,
supposed to be guarding.
illegally, walls
and
up
then
to
he
defend.
reestablishes again.
Thank you. Great question. You know where that, no time and distance thing catches us off guard? Is the play when we're in transition, there's a long pass, I'm going this way, and I catch the ball, and I come to the floor, and there's a defender right here, and it just gets plowed, that's legal defense. But we always wanna call it an offensive foul, because it just looks so horrible. Okay, just, like there's some plays you wanna see coming, like you can't anticipate the call. But when you see that long pass and somebody's looking over their shoulder and there's a body right here, you gotta kinda use your basketball sense and be ready for what's gonna happen.
Which is gonna be a block, charge, or a travel.
This is my favorite.
Thank you. Because usually, you turn and you see somebody, you're like, oh, travel.
Don't call it travel, you just say travel.
If they travel,
I
yeah.
hate that's a pop-up call.
It is.
Okay, sorry.
Are we good? Yes?
Good, all right. Obtain and maintain. Wanna see it tonight.
All right, so what time you guys go in the next hour, most of you? Yes? Okay, so go, get changed if you want to, go out, watch some of these games that are going on. Feel free to talk to the observers if they're not engaged, and, yeah. And be here tomorrow morning, 15 minutes early, please, 7:15.
The game schedules have been updated. Yes.
Portrait or
Yeah, you can legally establish here and still without not being
Are we having a classroom session tonight on talking about game?
So I'm a defender and I'm behind them and I'm catching up. I'm parallel,
We have foul.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I just kept putting years I know, I was like,
Yes, it's posted, but for most of you, there's really no changes. Did you get in?